Hello and welcome to the Tech in the Hood podcast. I'm your host, Ahmed Flex Omar. Tech in the Hood is a storytelling podcast that explores the past, present, and future of Chicago's cultural identity through conversations about community and technology. Each week, I reconnect with the friends and mentors who have shared this journey and spotlight new voices and innovators building the future of the Tech in the Hood. Welcome back to Tech in the Hood, the show that brings you all things art, business, culture, and of course, technology. I'm in the studio today with my good friends, Nicole and Roger. How are you guys doing today?
Lovely.
Awesome.
Well, can you tell your full names to the audience?
Right.
I'm Nicole Murray.
My name is Roger J. Carter, South Side of Chicago.
South Side. Love it. Sox fan?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's all right. I'm a hardcore Cubs fan. I mean, as you can see.
So we won't hold that against
But I got the Jackie Robinson, so you like Jackie Robinson,
I do,
right?
I'm a big Jackie Robinson guy.
I come in peace.
Come in peace.
So let's talk about how actually we initially met. I think we met through Matthew Moore.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Artist replete. I don't know if I can ever get Matt on the studio. He's not much of a media person.
You can talk him into it.
Yeah. Well, I did a show with him and Jenny Vias at Pilsen Yards.
Yeah.
I couldn't get him to do a speech.
That's about right.
He's a smart fella, but I got to get him.
He talks a lot in one-on-one.
One-on-one, right?
Yeah.
So, right. Maybe I'll trick him into coming to the studio because season 1, true story, one of my guests, thought we were just doing a casual lunch and then coming to hang out, and then they saw the microphones and the cameras, and it went to complete freak out mode.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I had to do a therapy session first.
Oh wow.
And then
that's what friends are for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But he was mad too. He's like, why didn't you tell me it's gonna be video too? I need to get a haircut next time. And I'm like, all right. So that's why we do the prep calls now.
Okay,
right.
See?
Okay.
I appreciate that.
In case you need to have an emergency,
right.
haircut. So, but we learn every day.
Absolutely.
So, and that's now we're in season 3. Time flies.
Yep.
Yeah. So, occupation, full time artist now, Roger.
Yes, full-time artist.
Okay. How long have you been doing it?
Mostly since the pandemic.
Okay.
Mostly. I was a software engineer 20 plus years. I'm always an artist, my entire life.
Yeah.
The job was more. The art was more of a hobby on the weekends and at nights, and the job was my. That's how I put food on the table,
For sure. And do you still do any tech consulting or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it. I just believe in doing things that you love.
Yeah.
Technology and art are two of the things that I love dearly.
Software or hardware guy?
Software.
Okay.
Software, yeah.
All right. Mac or PC?
PC. I'm a Windows, more of a Windows developer.
Yeah, you're loyal. Yeah.
You can always find a job as a Windows developer. That's not a problem.
That is true. My first gig in college was on the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
And I did network infrastructure engineering. It was all PC. I mean, Macs. Yeah. Nobody was buying them.
Oh no.
Mac or doing anything. With Mac, so everything.
We were afraid of Mac then.
Yeah, seriously, they were. And then the iPod came out, and then all of a sudden, people are like, "Ooh, Apple." And then the MacBook Air, the first MacBook Air. That's when I converted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't looked back ever since. I'm still Mac, but don't have any beef with Microsoft in case they want to sponsor
Love Microsoft.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I'll take it. I'm still an Office, guy. So And I'm excited for all the new tools that they're bringing out, especially with their partnership with OpenAI and all of that. But going back to your art, what is your medium?
Good question. The medium, it's a different range of mediums. I mean, I don't necessarily like to be tied to one medium. So painting, spray painting, obviously toy soldiers and objects, broken records, puzzles, basically anything I get my hands on. That's kind of how I got into art. It was just things that was around me as a kid that I couldn't necessarily afford. So I would just, I would create art with a number of mediums. And I think that's kind of what we do today. I mean, even this piece here is made of a different type of objects, not just one. So it's a combination of different mixed medias. So I kind of like to go at it that way.
That's really cool and kind of gives you a unique signature.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's for me, I think one of the best attributes of a human is to be different than everybody else. My mother used to say that the masses are asses. So, I don't necessarily want to roll with the way
Shout
everyone
out
else
to
is
mama.
Shout out to mom. So yeah, that's just the approach I take with art and life and everything in between.
Love it. And how are you two connected? Because I know you're do a lot of work together.
Yes, I'm his manager. So I've been
awesome.
managing him, with him for a few years now. It's been lovely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you're an artist as well?
No, I am, not technically an artist. I'm not a physical artist. I'm a marketing, so I've worked with a lot of brands. And then I worked with artists now, and we have the Kulture Museum, which is our art studio and artist gallery. Then obviously community engagement, but I'm not a visual artist. Roger is a visual artist. I'm more of a planning, marketing artist, and I write books.
She's a writer. She's published
you're
a book as well.
You're a creative.
I like to write
Yeah.
when I'm not looking at the beauty in front of us at the Culture Museum.
Writing is your medium.
It is.
There you go.
We'll see. I talk a lot, so
It's perfect for the podcast. Yeah, and then you mentioned the Kulture Museum.
The Culture Museum.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Also, the Culture Museum is our artist gallery, artist studio, and event space, and community activation, youth entrepreneurship center. So we really, it's a home of culture for us. So with working with Roger and a few other artists, they all work in the studio, have their own private setups, which is so beautiful because I personally get to see I get to venture in and see all the loveliness every day. So, and then we have a artist gallery in the front. So when you first come in, we represent different and highlight different artists throughout the Chicago area now, but we're really focused on just keeping our foundation as artists and entrepreneurs and community empowerment station in a proper place.
That's really cool. So on the average, like how much space does an artist, get, or it's just determined on their needs?
Yeah, it depends on needs. So some artists, he obviously has the biggest space. It's
because we've seen some of his bigger pieces.
So about 400, 3 to 500 square feet. Some artists don't. They just pop in. We have artists that are our home base. We call it our home base. We do what we need to do out there, but we come home and make sure we create, we support each other, we align in all the gloriful ways that we know we can, and learn from each other, which is something that I've really been able to witness a lot because I see all the artists work together and I see them observing and I see them learning, and I don't know how to do any of it. So it's just beautiful when we see the translation of collective alignment in action and also empowerment and how it actually evolves. Everyone's artwork and just, coming up with ideas and incubation.
Very cool. And that really sounds like a great community.
Yeah.
How long has it been around?
Well, we originally started in his basement during COVID.
There you go. Real startup.
Oh, yeah. We
absolutely.
took over his basement during COVID, and I would stay out of the basement because that's where all the artists would work, and I would just stay up on the second floor.
Wow.
Because he has like a four store, it's 4 floors or so. So I would just stay away from them because they're in their business, and just come in and, be nosy and see how to progress things. But we started in his basement during, I think, 2019 right before COVID, like a month before in December. And then after that, a few months, maybe within like a year or so, we decided to move to a bigger space outside of his house because we were taking over, and we're going to get kicked out by the landlord. Yeah, he's a landlord.
We outgrew the basement.
We outgrew the basement.
Yeah.
He's going to kick us all out and keep his art there. So we we moved to, we opened the Kulture Museum. And we started out on a smaller space, and we grew to another space 2 years ago. We're in the space that we're in now, which actually we expanded 6 months ago to a second floor. Sorry. So it's coming together. It's moving organically.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, COVID, was it a positive or a negative in terms of the art business?
Well, I say anything that the creator put on this planet is for our good. It's our perspective, and sometimes perspectives hurt, and sometimes journeys in life are going to take so many different turns. But looking at the blessing always, it was not obviously every day is a blessing. So it took a turn I wouldn't say a turn, it evolved into something that we had the capacity, we had the time to be still enough to see where the alignment came in, and then also be graceful enough with each other and appreciate each other enough to really see how we can be of value in our silos, because I do not do what he does. So, and he doesn't do what I do, so we kind of were able to see each other enough to kind of, I would say, put a line in the sand on scopes, goals, expectations, and how we actually get there, strategy.
That's really cool. And then have you seen a shift in community building or any evolution in that after post-COVID?
Yes. A lot of individuals opened up to a warmer heart. So they, a lot of people reached out more for community building and understand that what's in front of them is what we create, not necessarily, we can create anything, but generally, I felt, and I still feel that a lot of people are able to see things in a more peaceful light, without the blinders of the hustle and bustle, and just be a little bit more human. So I have seen community develop a lot differently. Also seen ways in which it's been exposed that we have to develop community a lot differently too, and align better, because we don't have so many things that we used to be able to kind of hide behind. We have to see the world for what it is, and all the things that are happening in this world, because we have so much media that tells us, and the vibrations of what's going on, and now we're capable to do something about it because we know.
Very cool. And then what tools and resources are provided to the artists that are at the
Kulture Museum? So the first is love, okay? Everlasting love. I stand on agape. It means everlasting love that is unconditional. So we start everything and we seed everything with pure agape love. So that's the foundation of what we do. Art comes out of that community. For me, art comes out of that. Community comes out of that. You're
setting the right culture.
Yes, setting the right culture so we can understand how to appreciate and how to really do our due diligence in our history, and also see the reflections of what that means. So a lot of it has been interesting. But the first thing that comes out of that is collective unison and collaboration and alignment and love. So that's the first. From that is, if you need space and you are part of our collective, we have an arrangement to collectively have that happen in a few different areas. Events, when we have events, we include a lot of our members in our events that are of our collective members. We've been to Art Basel, we've been to Expo Chicago, we've done a lot of different fun stuff, but things that can really set the strategy and the groundwork so that the artist can take the next step and actually be seen and recognized in a way that is valuable, and also a way that is who they are. So and then support. So we have a marketing company we work in to help in that area, and then obviously community empowerment. So from our events to space to our personal events and events we align on, we really like to support. And just like any home and family, wherever, how you fit into the family, we're all going into the same direction. So we'll all play our role and we'll get there smoothly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Roger, I got to ask you about AI.
Okay.
What are your feelings about generative AI and Mid-Journey as an artist?
I think it's going to only help and help an artist. It's going to be able to speed things up a little bit. Maybe you have an idea, you want to pitch it to AI, and they can spew something out, and from there you can take it and take it on its own journey as far as art. Now, is it going to make the art for you and you sell it and things like that? That's a different conversation. And I think with my medium in particular, I don't think AI can regenerate something like that, right? So it's going to be interesting. I think AI has been around for years. I think it's just getting a lot of attention now. And people, companies and artists have been using it, I think, for years.
Because you have an interesting perspective because you're also in IT.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So how would you tell people to, I guess, stay calm?
Yeah, you can chill. It's like the I don't know if you remember the Y2K issue.
Oh my God! Yeah,
So
I went back to Africa.
So I
You're part
always
of it.
I'm East African. It's the cradle of humanity. I'm like,
Yeah.
humanity's going to cease to exist. Might as well just
Go home.
go back to where it all started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I tell you, I was a Y2K hire, right out of school, basically. So,
And what is Y2K for Gen Z and for folks that haven't heard about Y2K?
I thought it was something with the year 2000 approaching, and some of the old code that was written prior to
Right.
Y2K.
And computers are programmed up until the year 2000, and everything's gonna stop, and planes are gonna fall down from.
Party like it's 1999.
Yeah, party like so you party like 1999. So.
Yeah. So I remember with the industry, so many people were hired, and so many unqualified people were hired as well.
Yeah, so the first .com, boom and bust.
The .com, that was the beginning of the .com boom and bust. I was part of that process too. But we had that, and then I remember we had outsourcing. All the work was going to be shipped over to India, and it's going to be shipped over to Ireland and things of that nature. And some of it did go over there, but at the same time, a lot of it started coming back.
Yeah, a lot of data entry stuff at the time.
Yeah.
Because at some point I was working in tax for Deloitte, and everyone's outsourcing to the new Silicon Valley in India, Bangalore.
Yeah. So I say that to compare the two. So when it comes to AI with art or even with technology, you still have to understand the technology. I think more people are going to have to be more architects than before. So you're still going to have to be able to, tell the tool what to do and then how to implement those solutions.
Yeah, I remember a time where people were freaking out about cloud, solutions, and they're all like, "What's that?" And nobody, thinks about that anymore because nobody's walking around with a thumb drive or, you know.
You see the blessing. How it makes things easier.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna upgrade my iCloud. So
and share it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of how I see AI. As well. It's co-pilot. You're the pilot, and I've been using it a lot. For my business for FlexTech AI. I've developed chatbots for clients. People that want it. I've trained people on how to use ChatGPT, so they can do the prompt engineering. There's just so many ways, you can use it, especially for, brainstorming, doing outlines. There's certain not-for-profits, I show them how they can take in information for, a particular grant, put it in ChatGPT, and then ask ChatGPT to create an outline and help with writing, an LOI.
Yeah.
So, it just saves you so much,
and
time.
the help is, I think, the really a key word, and not being not dependent, but to be an assistant.
Yeah, it gets me out of the office at 5 and I don't have to work the weekends, I mean, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I was in accounting, I would work 7 days a week when there was tax season, busy season.
Yeah.
But if I have AI, back then, some of those spreadsheets I was working on could have been done a lot faster.
Yeah.
Some of those formulas I couldn't figure out. I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, what's that?
It's like the calculator when
oh my God, yeah.
It's somewhat like that, but it's a help, And I was not. He was very adamant on ChatGPT, and I was completely no, and now I love it. So
no, absolutely. You gotta embrace it, and it's going to be integrated in so many different industries.
Yeah.
And so if you do not train on these new technologies, then somebody else is going to replace you that's trained, on it. And so it's not the machine that's going to replace you. It's the human being,
So knows how to use the machine.
So that's why at FlexTech AI, we focus on applied intelligence.
Okay.
So you got the human intelligence, and then you combine that with the machine intelligence, you got superpowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Iron Man, right? And Jarvis.
That is true. That is true.
And with the human aspect too, you can translate what Chat GPT is spitting out to like the average person.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that person there anyway. It's like, okay, here's what we really need to do, and so on and so forth. So the human element, I think, is extremely important in AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And since the beginning of time, people, came together in a marketplace and did business.
Yeah.
Still the same, today, whether it's physically or through the, internet.
Yeah.
And when people call customer support, AI is going to only get them, so far.
Yeah.
Right. So, and just people want somebody to point the finger at and, let me talk to your supervisor. The AI is going to go, okay, I guess I got to wake up.
Press 0.
Press 0. Or here's this information, I'm cooked.
But it's also the cultural awareness of when you use any type of intelligence that's not coming from like your connection to the creator to you, there will be a level of content that may not be the content, because I'm a creator, meaning a writing creator. So I do a lot of writing for clients and things like that. And I've noticed when I use Jasper or ChatGPT, a lot of times I won't say a lot of times, but sometimes they can write something and the content I know from a factual perspective isn't always coming from, it's coming from the information that they want us to repeat, opposed to the information that we know is true. So if we say, write this, this particular essay, I'm using this as a random example,
sure.
or this particular, piece of content, and they're using facts that are not really based on the cultural reality that this is true. We have a lot of different institutions that are trying to ban a lot of content that is actual and factual. Our connection with what we know is right still has to be human enough to correct it and say, this isn't accurate. This is a way that a system is putting content that is not necessarily, historically relevant, culturally relevant, and is spewing a narrative that, although history books or Google may say is right, we know the real history of certain things. So I think the cultural, the awareness, the historical awareness, and just being able to discern, in business, still having your human nature to discern in business what should be used and what shouldn't be used, and not just taking what's on your plate and saying, okay, this looks good. Because I've also seen a lot of people who've used ChatGPT as they'll send me a proposal for marketing or something. And as a person who's worked on every brand, from NBC to McDonald's, I literally can look at it and say, you got this off of a machine. You should have used this machine and put yourself into it and use this as a tool to be your assistant, and not use it as a tool to say, here you go, I just cheated on this assignment. Because it's not an assignment if you have to do the real work, and the real work comes in the person who's going to actually activate.
Right, because it's a human being's reputation at stake, not the AI's.
Exactly. And I've seen so many times, and it's just unfortunate because we can't take ourselves, you have to inspect what we expect. So we can't take ourselves out of the experience just because an experience is doing it for us. So a calculator, if it says 4 plus 4 equals 7, as a human who knows the difference, we'll say, wait a minute, there's a glitch in the system. Yeah, the facts are off, So culturally speaking, sometimes, the facts in Google are inaccurate. And if they're getting,
or
biased.
We
love Google, but but biased.
Like,
biased.
where's the data, being pulled from, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Ran, some tests on, Google, and for example, I would say, show me kids in America, and you see kids, that very, clean cut, and everybody's, smiling. And then I say, show me kids in Africa, and it's all poverty.
Yeah.
But the algorithm is pulling images from all the NGOs that are, in Africa. So, and that's the source. That's why I'm really big on, having, folks own their own narrative and do their own, storytelling. And even, with AI, ChatGPT crawling the internet. So if you're not sharing your story, if you're not owning your narrative, and, you're not putting your information, out there, then you're going to be left out of
the story. That's very important. Yeah.
So
don't look at it like that, but I do now. I see that point.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I look at it as Google on steroids is all it really is.
It is all it is, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even Google now is, you type in a search, it'll tell you, hey, do you want me to summarize this for you and just generate the AI?
Yeah.
But it's up to you to say, well, I want to do research, right? So even before ChatGPT, came around, I'd look at page 10 of Google instead of page 1.
Absolutely.
Because page 1 is the people that paid to
SEO,
be SEO is on point.
to be there, with the Google ads and, so on. And just understanding that all these tech companies are all businesses. So they have to, give a return on investment to their investors and shareholders and take care of their employees, but they also still, have a responsibility, to the community. And that's how, Facebook figured out very quickly that their platform can, have a threat to democracy, and they acted, started hiring, more moderators, people that work in policy, but that's the toughest part of, all this, because it's moving, the innovation is moving so fast.
Yeah.
And now, you have OpenAI with its own LLM, other companies are looking to have their own, large language models. And so who is regulating, that?
Yeah.
That's a question to President Biden.
I'm also curious about copywriting. I know that's somewhat different, but when you,
absolutely,
as a writer, I literally love to connect and bring it out. I don't need AI for being a creative writer. I actually don't think that it is creative writing if you use AI. It is just a copyright infringement on a essay that you got offline for creative writing, not necessarily for business plans and things like that, because you still have to know your business to employ it. But so when it comes to things like images and things like, creative stories, I've always thought it should be some type of copy, how you have the C on, or the rated R or something like that. If it's AI, it should have a big A, because coming from the creator is different than coming from a machine. And that has to be, we can't deny the fact that our human connection with our divine source will always outweigh a machine. And I think that's it. That's a different type of regulation that I hope comes about.
Yeah, I don't see how that's going to happen. I think I just don't think you use it. You don't just copy and paste the content.
Right.
It's like the story of Othello has been told 1,000 times in the movies, right? It's just it's the same storyline. You know, I know how it starts. I know how it's gonna end, and it's the same with AI. You still have to massage the content for your particular audience.
Well, some don't. What about images, though? Like, say, for instance, the imagery that is coming out for, creative work, visual creative work, that is not coming from an actual person, it's coming from online. Those things usually have some type of owner. Even if the owner is AI, it should be known that a person did not create that. And that's how we treat the brand value as you as an artist. There will never be an AI that can compare to your work, because your brand is what brings your work about, and also your the legacy of what you do, and also the empowerment of what you do. So AI may have a visual that can replicate some things, but it won't necessarily have the brand and the actual the thing that's going to elevate artists to where they need to be. And so some of that is, even with artistry, when it comes to visuals, I still think that those should have a big A on it too. It's not comparable to a human being.
Yeah, I mean, artists been using photos for years to create art. I think it was it Shepard Farley who took the picture of Obama and got sued for it by the photographer, and so now he has to get credit. Each artist should give credit for the image that they use anyway, or that they reference. So I have seen a lot more of that happening.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's really important to training, people on what an AI image looks like, as opposed to an actual, image. So that educational piece is important. Sean Michael Warren, as you all know, was a guest on the show in season 1. One of the things he said was, AI cannot out-imagine me.
That is true.
And he got some interesting comments. And people were like, oh, this guy is delusional. AI's coming for you, buddy.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, all right. I mean, but then, so I own one of his pieces, and I did a prompt engineering, test. And so what I wanted, so I came with the whole ideation, what the piece is going to look like, the story, and so on. Typed it into AI, and then also gave the same information to him, and night and day.
Night and day.
Yeah.
I can see that. Artists and humanity is a commodity. We have to continue to respect the commodity of who we are. We can't just, we can't be duplicated, although they try. Yeah. Anointing cannot be duplicated. It's impossible.
Yeah, and we've been talking about automation taking over, jobs, for how long?
Yeah.
And to me, technology is a net job, creator. I mean, we're in a studio right now, and we have so many, tech equipment. Yeah. Right. And how many, podcasts channels are, there now. It just creates more and more opportunities, so, but you can't fear, technology, but I think it's also important to advocate for responsible,
Yeah. I think anytime technology is a new hump, it's always a little scary. I remember the first time that when I was younger, when credit cards went from checks to credit, it was always my parents had a big, they were like, wait a minute, we're not getting credit cards. We're writing checks and bringing cash. And now we have the Apple Pay, and you see my face.
I just take my Apple Watch and go beep.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's it. Call it a day.
It was a big deal. You had to go with your check. No one trusted a credit card or a debit card in the beginning. So some of that initial hump is okay.
And the stores had to call in.
Yes.
American Express, and we're like, is this person in your database? Yeah.
And
because it's
pre-internet,
it's like,
there's still a lot of bars that just take cash only too.
That's maybe for other reasons.
That's for other reasons.
Those for other reasons.
Yeah, we might have to tell that bar owner to have cameras in there.
I know. Let's see where the money's going. I want to know.
Yeah.
We're only taking cash.
Yeah. What are you doing in the back?
That's funny. But has tech at all influenced your work as an artist?
Oh, absolutely. As far as process, like I have the same approach with technology and code that I have with art. So I've always break things down in small, manageable chunks. So if I think of the big picture right away, it's going to take me longer. It's going to cause anxiety and things like that. So I would always develop this process to get it done quicker, and just breaking things down in smaller chunks and so forth. So it's kind of, in a way, it's helped me because a lot of artists, if they get a lot of work in, commissions and things like that, they have to hire other people to actually create the art for them. But I figure if I could get a process, I'm like, okay, well, I can still touch the art, I can still create it, and it's a tried and true process. And many times sometimes you have to pivot as well. So I think that's helped me as well. So one of the questions people always ask me, they say, how long does that take? The first question someone asks, and I'm hesitant to answer. I'm like, well, I kind of got a process. I can kind of get this done. And I think they want to hear like it takes 6 months, right?
Yeah.
That's what I know they want to hear. And
that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. I said, if it takes 6 months, I'm not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine you got a deliverable to deliver? Someone wants a website, and you say, well, it's going to take me about 6 months to get that website out, and so you can get, we want to add an e-commerce component to it and things like that. Like as a business, you don't have time. You don't have 6 months.
Oh, I mean, that's what I do at FlexTech. So I'm like, let's do a landing page.
Yeah, start somewhere.
Well, you got a framework to start
Get your
with.
MailChimp on.
Start phase one.
But you got a framework to build up on, or a portal to put that client on, so you can get them in.
Break it up in a flow chart.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the same approach I take with the art, so I can get the stuff out a little bit quicker, be cleaner. Everything is consistent. It's the same with technology, just reusing some of the old code that you used and things like that, and working from a framework. All development now is all based off existing frameworks, tried and true stories.
So you have a developer approach.
Absolutely.
To art.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's really interesting. When I was running my NGO, Mala, the Muslim American Leadership Alliance, I had a night where we did Muslims and Muslims in tech, so had some software engineers on there. And one of them mentioned that they're also a composer. And I was like, interesting, coding and music composition.
Yeah. I worked with a company where
same part of the brain.
Where most of our developers they were musicians, artists. They all jokingly say, the only reason we hire you because you was an artist. I said,
that's funny.
I appreciate that.
But I can see when he actually starts on pieces, you can see like it's interesting because his mind works just like this. Like he sees it, and I'm like, what are you looking at? And then I'm like, what are you looking at? I'm like, oh, that's what you're looking at. So sometimes it's so interesting because I can see what you're saying, because you literally build on top of the pieces. And it's been times where I'm sitting there and I'll see the whole process from the time he gets the piece of the canvas to work on till it's done. And sometimes I don't understand what he's working on until he's almost done, and I'm just in a state of shock every time. Like, how did you get... I'm just going to mind my business, especially considering using all of the mixed media. So it's one thing drawing an image in your mind and you can see the strokes. Is another, like literally putting physical pieces together. And, those pieces are different sizes, they're different shapes, they're different colors, they're different depths. They're come from different leagues of Marvel. They come from, because I don't really watch too many cartoons. I don't watch Marvel too much. Comics. Yeah. But I'm excited about it because I see how the story intertwines within the art too. So it's really interesting when he mentions how he looks at everything in perspective like that. I can absolutely see it as I've seen the process. So you're doing storyboarding. I mean, do you start with hand sketches or do you work on your iPad or?
Yeah, I start on the PC first. Then I'll move it over to
you're
Canvas.
A loyal PC guy.
Well, PC and Mac. I mean, I have a Mac as well. Cool. It's all good.
Just messing.
But yeah, I'll start off there. Have an idea, and then But like I said, the process is the The process is the same. I mean, it doesn't even matter the media that I'm using. I don't think people understand that it's the same process. You know, it's like it's like a car, right? Different type of cars, you can drive, but I can guarantee you that pedal on the right is for the gas. And I know that the brake, the other one, the brake, and I know where the brake is at. Well, guess what? That's like for every car. Every single car, right? And that's just how it works. And then, at the end, all you're doing is just putting labels and different pieces and different colors and things like that. But it's still a car.
That's really cool. Do you work on multiple pieces at the same time?
Yeah, that's what
yes.
I can't say that word. That's what the process is all about, right? So I could work on multiple pieces. I can say, okay, I need black on here, I need the grays here, and the whites here, and so forth. So I can line the pieces up and just work on them at the same time. Because I have to paint each individual piece. I say, okay, I'm doing black today. We're going to trace the blacks. We're going to do this, and it's kind of yeah. And then at the end, it is a little random because we're gonna change it up a little bit, and each piece can be unique that way. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And Nicole, you mentioned that you do exhibitions at the museum.
Yes.
How do those exhibitions differ from other museums?
How do they? Well, I would say we have a different approach to how we do exhibitions. We really start with the creative, and we start with the strategy, meaning the goals of what we're looking to get out of it, and kind of the vision of what the exhibitions are. So at our studio, we have exhibitions, and then we also go off and do a lot of things, different groups as well.
So is it multiple artists in that exhibition, or is it one artist? Or
well, honestly, the Kulture Museum, naturally, we have a full strategy for the year, so some events, for instance, for Expo, that was multiple artists, so we had one of our sponsors, La Creme, they came and really gave us a platform to really create, and Roger made some really awesome art pieces out of the wine, the bottle caps for La Creme. So it was just amazing. The Baldwin piece, just like, how did you do? Okay, let me leave it alone. But so with that,
just James Baldwin piece.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
But this was made out of the wine corks. Yeah.
Wow.
So some of that. So with that, there are multiple artists. With when we do different events, sometimes it's just Roger. Sometimes it's if an artist has an idea and they want to put forth an idea, we come to we create an experience from there. But at our gallery at the Kulture Museum, we always have our front area is our art gallery. So we have different artists throughout the year, usually one main artist that is circulating their art for about 2 months. And then we'll have a little time off, and then we'll have another artist for about 2 months. And
2 months is awesome. And that gives, the artists enough time to really get people there to interact, and and also from an economics standpoint, very valuable.
And I think it's one thing to mention too. It's not a traditional gallery setting because we don't really want to intimidate customers from coming into a gallery. A lot of people are like, oh wow, it's a gallery, the prices and things like that, and we give the artists a space to be open, to be free, and we don't necessarily curate it.
So you're not dictating the prices.
We are working on that because part of, but meaning we are doing that, but it's meaning the expression of the art. It's not.
So they have the creative control. You're not telling them, hey, this is what a collector wants.
Right.
No,
absolutely not.
Do this.
No, we give them the freedom to create. And that's sometimes that's the issue that's how you get into that starving artist mode. Is you're kind of like, okay, well, let me create this because it's hot, or the curator told me to create this because I sold a piece like that 3 or 4 times, so let me just keep doing that instead of really creating
something that's trending.
Something that's trending instead of creating what's in my heart and what I really want to express.
Yeah.
So how do you teach the artists to trust the process, especially ones that are younger, that have not that experience?
So that's communication and relationships. So I think that's part of it. The process is what you put into it, and to trust it means that you put enough of your real self into it that you can trust what comes out of it. So trusting the process really starts with trusting yourself and trusting the fact that you started with putting yourself out there. So one thing with the Culture Museum is that we really like to consider it a home, our home base. No one lives there, but meaning our home base. So all of the artists we work with, we work with them on other exhibitions and other places. He's had a ton of things everywhere, turn around. He's doing something amazing, and I work with him and work to other places. So we are not in competition with anybody. I don't believe in competition. We believe in alignment. Align and conquer is our reality. So we align with other groups, and at the end of the day, you always have a home at the Culture Museum. You could always come to the Culture Museum, and your artwork will be there. It may not be in the front gallery. That gallery space may be to someone else, but your artwork will have a space there. It will have representation, and it will have a lot of love that we'll pour onto it in the process as you're trusting it. But the first part is to, and honestly speaking, everyone's not manageable or everyone's not representable. Not meaning for me. Not meaning for someone else, but there's a certain energy that has to, Roger has a certain energy that we communicate well, we work well. I leave him alone. I learned to do that. It took me a long time, but I learned to leave him alone and not bug him. And what you doing? What is that? Is that what you're supposed to do? Is that on the commission list? Why is that not on the commission list? That's not going to a show. I used to be on him like this, and I had to learn, whenever I leave him alone long enough, he comes up with something, and before you know it, we're off to a whole new height. And so part of that is working and aligning with people where they can understand their place, they can learn how to stay in their place, they know when to get up out of their seat to be in somebody else's face. All of that is part of the process. But to trust it means that and that's why we love our collective, because we trust each other in the process. So I know personally that I can't do it all. He knows personally he can't do it all. All of our collective members know they personally can't do it all, but any day of the week when we come to the studio, we know together we'll figure it out. Somebody has the frame, somebody has the artwork, somebody's on sale, somebody's getting the tags up, somebody's moving it out and getting the truck so we can get it to the next space, so sometimes as an entrepreneur, I don't know how we're going to get it done. I'll sit there and look at these goals because I have a champagne goal mindset. I want it all, because I know we're here to bless it all. So, sure. But you have to think, how are you going to get it done? And then I'll come into the studio and it's halfway out. Everyone's already in their corners of execution. And it just feels so good to know that you can have a goal. And, working with major, we've all worked with companies before, and we've had, I would come up with an idea when, Toyota would say, cool, here's a couple $1 million to execute it. And here's a whole team to do it. Stopping from doing that to be an entrepreneur, it took a lot of trust for myself to say, you know what, we can still get to these goals without the $1 million startup. We can do it with our good energy, knowing that we are a blessing and knowing that we are creating the message that is needed for our history to really sustain itself. And it's, so many different ways. And we also are elevating artists to a position where there's no such thing as a starting artist. There is trusting the process, because we can align grants, sponsorship, your own art, teaching classes, doing workshops, a whole host of things that can make sure your bases are covered. So we will never starve together. If you get out of here, that's on you, but together we will feed each other. So trusting the process is knowing that the process does not lie on you. It's not on you. It's on your ability to have discernment and to know the team that you need to surround yourself with, and also the teams you need to let go too, because it's a lot of times I have to realize I can't manage this person because they're going to take me down a rabbit hole that I don't have the capability to sustain. So it takes a certain level of, self-awareness, a certain level of entrepreneurship within yourself, and to get out your creative mind and to know that your creativity is such a blessing, and that's really, after you create, is here to bless the people who are going to have it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a collective and sounds like a really cool community that you're building, but also remembering that it's a startup and it's a unique startup. There's no books out there that you can just pick up and say, oh, this is the formula,
Yeah.
on how to do this, and you got to give the artists, the space to create, So definitely, from what it sounds like, you have guidelines, not necessarily rules. This is how things need to be done now. We have deadlines, we have this, but you have space to do it. However, your flow or your process is, and so on. So that is awesome, and I think that's a business model that needs to be applauded, because more artists need that type of support and community. And community, is key.
Yeah, I agree.
Community is key.
Yeah, I know. When I was young, I didn't know what an artist studio was. I was born on the South Side. I didn't know what a gallery was. There's no galleries over there, right?
Yeah.
There may be some studios over there now, but there's no galleries for us to see. So this kind of gives them that opportunity to say, hey, yes, there's a male, I'm black, I'm an artist. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this.
Express yourself.
Yeah. And you belong.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you deserve to be here and let your work speak for you. Are there any pieces that you're currently working on?
Multiple pieces. all the time.
Multiple pieces. So
No,
you're not gonna spill the beans.
Maybe, but I mean, there's always commissions. I still, secretly do work. Not really secretly. I always work on work for an upcoming show.
Okay.
Or something. The way things go, sometimes it's always at the last minute.
Yeah, so it's nonstop.
Where we got to go to an exhibition. We got to go to we got to go to Chicago Expo. We got to go to Art Basel. It's always at the last minute, so we got to put stuff together for that. Actually, the past month or so, I've actually had a chance for me to work on some of the stuff I want to work on, some different mediums, some different subject matters. So that's stuff that I'm kind of doing, as well as commission work as well.
That's awesome, man. And Nicole, what are the goals for the museum?
The Culture Museum, we want to expand. We want to really create more red chip artists and not blue chip artists. So the artists that are living within their legacy, living within their empowerment, and living within their abundance. So that's really the goal, to expand the Culture Museum as a physical location to more places. We have a lot of youth art therapy throughout Chicago with our Mogul Nation program. So Mogul Nation is a youth entrepreneurship. So we just work with a lot of the youth. So we do different workshops. And when we see, just the transformation of the youth really being able to tap into their own creative insight and to see, the different artists process and have those one-on-one conversations, that goal in and of itself has been tapped on consistently. So the real goal is to make that statement and to really know that the youth that we have in Chicago, as well as globally, if you are an artist, entrepreneur, any person that has a passion proposition that I can consciously see and visualize within themselves, there's a pathway to get there. So that's the I guess the visceral answer, but the physical answer is we want to be global. We want to have global artists.
For sure, and that's important, because some of the young people that I mentor on the south and the west side of Chicago, I show them, games that they play like Fortnite, and some of those, dance moves, that people pay for. Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Right. So intellectual, property that you create in a street in Chicago goes global.
That is true.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've shipped a lot to the world, especially from Chicago. So it's really important for young people to know that, value. And I'm just excited about a lot of these, different technologies. I mean, even with, VR, you put it on, there's an opportunity to visit another country without traveling. So again, that's why I see technology as a tool for empowerment, and I'm all about tech, for good, and building, social, enterprises, kind of like what you all are, doing right now. And it's really amazing. So if somebody wants to reach out and support your work, how do they get in touch?
Yes, they can go to theculturemuseum.com, Roger Carter on Instagram, rogercarter.art, but theculturemuseum.com is our main website. And
how do you spell it?
Oh, Culture with a K.
There you
let's
go.
Be very clear.
That's important.
We are not the C. They've taken the C and they've done whatever they want to it. So we are the K in culture, meaning that we are kind and we are purposeful in the work that we do. So we want to really not subscribe to the C, but sign up for the K. So it's culturemuseum.com, as well as Roger J. Carter on Instagram, the Culture Museum with the K on Instagram, and Divine Devotions is my personal. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you both for being here and joining us today on Tech in the Hood and being part of the community now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for introducing Tech in the Hood.
Yes.
Because the hood needs to know tech.
We've been doing tech for a long time. It's now time to tell our story.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're doing. And, just again, connecting with like-minded individuals and supporting, each other. So the podcast has, grown. We're in season 3, but it wouldn't be here without this support of, people like yourselves. And, so we'll continue to, build on that and increase our, value, proposition by amplifying, those voices in the, community that are doing really cool stuff like the both of you.
Awesome.
So again, thank you for being here and appreciate y'all.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Blessings.